ചെയ്ത പിഴ എല്ലാം start the fourth service at this time. Please thank you. പിതാവിനും പുത്രനും പരിശുദ്ധനുമായും സ്തുതി. നിന്റെ സ്ത്രീകളാൽ ആകാശം ഭൂമിയെ നിറഞ്ഞിരിക്കുന്ന ബലവാനായ തമ്പുരാൻ പരിശുദ്ധൻ 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 സ്തുതി. നീ പരിശുദ്ധനാകുന്നു, നീ പരിശുദ്ധനാകുന്നു,
and the joy of those who are mourning, and the gladness of those who are lamenting. To him befits glory and honor at this time of the funeral of his servant, and all the days of our lives forever and ever. Looking your most of the high, level me. Amen. Lord, eternal light, abundantly gracious and truth, light, life, and the source of immortality, creator of all, the one who sets the world and its changes in order, who is terrible, glorious in his commandment, and long-suffering and merciful, before whose divine vision secrets do not remain hidden. The depth of thoughts and the meditation of the heart are revealed and manifested before you. Your judgments are incomprehensible, and your ways are inscrutable. You did send your beloved Son Jesus Christ to the world in order to abolish death and to destroy the dragon which kills people. He preached life and immortality to every soul that was willing to listen. By your commandments we are sent away from this world of sufferings to the glorious, and before you, Almighty Lord, and the Lord of both worlds, we offer up supplication and petition at this time of the funeral of your servant who was separated and left from this sojourn, that you may receive his soul through your gentle angels, who takes it and makes it to dwell in the heavenly abodes. Deliver, O Lord, his soul from the grasp of evil spirits. Rescue it from the violence of the enemy. May the host meet it like those which surround the devotees of your name and those who do your will. Remit his sins completely by your love for humanity. Blot out his offenses perfectly by your loving kindness. Send your help for his journey manifestly. Stretch out towards him your right hand full of grace, that he may be drawn out of the whirlpool of second death. Support him by your invisible power. Rescue him from the terrible passages of demons. Do not condemn him for his transgressions, for all are guilty before you. O Lord, have pity on the weakness of our nature. In him and in us, remember your divine name that has been invoked upon us, and your abundant mercies. May the venerable passions of your only begotten Son for the salvation of our race intercede on our behalf. May your mercy and grace dawn upon him. May the victorious cross in which he believed become for him a pillar of light that makes him to dwell among the congregation of your saints. May your loving kindness manifest in him, that Satan, the enemy of our race, may be put to shame as his evil desire was not fulfilled. Be to this your servant, O Lord, fortress, guide, and guardian, and helper, until he reaches the blessed abodes of those who fear your name. May he rejoice there in your eternal glory. May he forget his grief, sorrows, and afflictions, and rejoice in the bosom of Abraham. Make us all your worshippers prepared for all these things, that with pure and pleasant life, free from sins, we may have a peaceful departure, which is not subdued by evil hosts of darkness. Look at us with merciful eyes, O Lord. Comfort those who are mourning. Console those who are in sorrow. Gladden the faces of those who are sad. Remove tears and sorrow from those who glorify you. Be the hope and the trust of everyone everywhere, according to his need. Grant, O Lord, by your grace which upholds all of us, rest with the saints in the blessed abodes, to all our parents and brethren, and leaders who have already set on journey towards you in the hope of your Christ, and looking for his great and glorious revelation. We also are looking for meeting him with confidence, without shame, that all of us who remain here and the servants, already departed and redeemed by your Lordship, may be held worthy to glorify and exalt your adorable and incomprehensible name in your eternal kingdom. O Lord, and your only begotten and your Holy Spirit, now and always forever
ലാസറിനെ കബറി ആഹ്വാനം ചെയ്ത സൃഷ്ടാവിനാജ്ഞ ധ്വനിയുക്താന മഹാദിവസേ മൃതരെ ഏകീചേർക്കും യോശഫാത്തെന്ന സാനുസ്ഥാനത്തിൽ അരഞ്ഞിരിക്കും ദ്രോണോസിൽ സത്യവിധിക്കായി തലമുറകൾ വന്നേ തീടും നാഥ സർവേശ എന്നേലം നാളിൽ കാരുണ്യം ചെയ്യണം നീ പ്രാണപ്രദനല്ലോ. കാരുണ്യവനധികമേ നിന്നിൽ അഭയം പ്രാപിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് ഈ സുഗന്ധവും ഞങ്ങൾ അണക്കി നിന്റെ പ്രകാരം ഇവിടെയുള്ള ജീവിതത്തിൽ നിന്ന് വിട്ടുമാറിയിരിക്കുന്ന ഈ ആത്മാവിന് വേണ്ടി നിന്നോട് അപേക്ഷിക്കുകയും ചെയ്യുന്നു. പിശാചുക്കളുടെ കഠിന ബന്ധനത്തിൽ നിന്നും അന്തരീക്ഷവാസികളും അദൃശ്യരുമായ ശത്രുക്കളുടെ ആദ്യ ഗണത്തിൽ നിന്നും ഈ ആത്മാവ് രക്ഷിക്കപ്പെടുമാറാകണമേ. അദൃശ്യമായ ശത്രുക്കളുടെ അദൃശ്യഗണത്തിൽ നിന്നും ഈ ആത്മാവ് രക്ഷിക്കപ്പെടുമാറാകണമേ. ഞങ്ങളുടെ കർത്താവ് നിന്റെ ദൈവമേ, ഈ ആത്മാവ് യാത്ര ചെയ്ത് നിന്റെ വിശുദ്ധന്മാരുടെ ആലയങ്ങളിലും ജീവനുള്ളവരുടെ പട്ടണങ്ങളും ചെന്ന് ചെയ്യുവാൻ ഞങ്ങളുടെ മഹാകനിയാക്കുകയും ചെയ്യണമേ. അന്യൻ നശിഹാവാക്കാൽ മൃതരെ ഉയർപ്പിപ്പോൾ സങ്കൽപ്പന പാലിച്ചോർക്കായി തേജോ വസ്ത്രം നൽകിയിടും അവനെ രാജ്യത്തിരേൽപ്പാൻ അവനെ കണ്ണടിലേറി വരും. അവനാനന്ദത്തോടാർക്കും വന്നേറി കൈക്കൊണ്ടിടുവിൻ. കൽപ്പന കാത്തോർക്കായി മുമ്പേ കാതൻ കരുതിടുമാ രാജ്യം മാമോദീസ ആനീരിൽ നിന്നും മാഷികാതൻ രുഷ്മായേറ്റോരെ മൃതരെ വഴി നിങ്ങൾ കൊണ്ടാശിപ്പാൻ മൃതിലോകത്തിൽ ധീരതയും പ്രത്യാശയതും പ്രാപിപ്പിൻ. ഉയരോടെഴുന്നേൽക്കും നിങ്ങൾ കേടേതും തേടിടാതെ കല്ലറയിന്നും പറുദീസ പോകാൻ വാസരമാസനം പാർക്കുമോ. ധന്യൻ ശ്രീഹ ചൊന്നേവം കേട്ട് മൃതരെയോർത്തി തഴ നിങ്ങൾ കരുത് നാശിച്ചേടുന്നേ വാനിൻ കാഹളനാദത്ത മൃതരെല്ലാരും എഴുന്നേൽക്കും. താൽക്കാലികമാമീ കാക്കം നിത്യതയെ പ്രാപിച്ചിടും. തനുവെഴുന്നേൽക്കും കേടില്ലാതുത്താനത്തിൻ വന്നാളിൽ മനോരം വാദാമിനോലം വർഷിക്കട്ടെ. താതനയ ചിട്ടാഭാവേൽ തീച്ചൂളയിൽ ലന്മാരിൽ വീഴ്ത്തിയ ജീവപീല മൃതിലോകത്താകുലമേറും ഭവനങ്ങളിൽ മരുന്നോരിൽ നിന്നഭയത്തിൽ നിദ്രിതരാം ദാസന്മാർതൻ പിഴപോക്കി അവകാശം നൽകിടണം ശാശ്വത സുസ്ഥിര രാജ്യത്തിൽ. നിൻ ശരണേ മൃതനാം ദാസനുത്ഥാനം നവ്യത നൽകട്ടെ. ഇത് മൃഗീൻ ദിവസം വേദനയിൻ ദിവസം പരിദേവന ദിവസം കടു ദിവസം Mario,
വിത്ത് ക്ഷയിക്കുന്നില്ലെങ്കിൽ മുളയ്ക്കത്തില്ല. നീ വിതയ്ക്കുന്നത് ഉണ്ടാകാൻ പോകുന്ന ശരീരമല്ല, ഗോതമ്പിന്റെയോ യുവത്തിന്റെയോ മറ്റേതെങ്കിലും ധാന്യത്തിന്റെയോ ഒരു മണി മാത്രം. എന്നാൽ ദൈവം തന്റെ ഇഷ്ടമനുസരിച്ച് ഓരോരുത്തരും അതിൻ്റെതായ ശരീരം നൽകുന്നു. എല്ലാ ശരീരവും ഒന്നുപോലെയല്ല. മനുഷ്യന്റെ ശരീരം ഒന്ന്, മൃഗങ്ങളുടെ ശരീരം മറ്റൊന്ന്, പക്ഷികളുടെ ശരീരം വേറൊന്ന്, മത്സ്യങ്ങളുടെ ശരീരം വേറൊന്ന്. സ്വർഗീയ ശരീരങ്ങളുണ്ട്, ഭൗമിക ശരീരങ്ങളുമുണ്ട്. എന്നാൽ സ്വർഗീയരുടെ തേജസ് ഒന്ന്, ഭൗമികരുടെ തേജസ് മറ്റൊന്ന്. സൂര്യന്റെ തേജസ് ഒന്ന്, ചന്ദ്രന്റെ തേജസ് മറ്റൊന്ന്, നക്ഷത്രങ്ങളുടെ തേജസ് വേറൊന്ന്. നക്ഷത്രങ്ങൾ തമ്മിലും തേജസ്സിന് വ്യത്യാസമുണ്ട്. അപ്രകാരം തന്നെയാവുന്നു മരിച്ചവരുടെ പുനരുത്ഥാനവും. നശ്വരതയിൽ വിതയ്ക്കപ്പെടുന്നു, അനശ്വരതയിൽ ഉത്ഥാനം ചെയ്യുന്നു. ഹീനമായി വിതയ്ക്കപ്പെടുന്നു, മഹത്വത്തോടെ ഉത്ഥാനം ചെയ്യുന്നു. ബലഹീനതയോടെ വിതയ്ക്കപ്പെടുന്നു, ബലിഷ്ഠതയോടെ ഉത്ഥാനം ചെയ്യുന്നു. ഭൗതിക ശരീരം വിതയ്ക്കപ്പെടുന്നു, ആത്മീയ ശരീരം ഉത്ഥാനം ചെയ്യുന്നു. ഭൗതിക ശരീരം ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ആത്മീയ ശരീരവുമുണ്ട്. ആദ്യ മനുഷ്യനായ ആദാം ജീവനുള്ളവനായി തീർന്നു എന്നെഴുതപ്പെട്ടിരിക്കുന്നു. ഒടുക്കത്തെ ആദാം ജീവിപ്പിക്കുന്ന ആത്മാവുമായി. എന്നാൽ ആദ്യം ആത്മീയനല്ല, ഭൗതികനാണ് ഉണ്ടായത്. ആദ്യ മനുഷ്യൻ ഭൂമിയിൽ നിന്ന് മണ്ണുകൊണ്ട് ഉണ്ടാകപ്പെട്ടവനും രണ്ടാമത്തെ മനുഷ്യൻ സ്വർഗീയനായ കർത്താവുമാവുന്നു. ഭൂമിയിൽ നിന്നുള്ളവർ എങ്ങനെയിരിക്കുന്നു അങ്ങനെ തന്നെ ഭൗമികരും, സ്വർഗത്തിൽ നിന്നുള്ളവർ എങ്ങനെയോ അങ്ങനെ തന്നെയായിരിക്കും സ്വർഗീയരും. ഭൗമികന്റെ സാദൃശ്യം നാം ധരിച്ചതുപോലെ തന്നെ സ്വർഗീയന്റെ സാദൃശ്യവും നാം ധരിക്കും. എന്നാൽ എന്റെ സഹോദരന്മാരെ, ജഡരക്തങ്ങൾക്ക് സ്വർഗരാജ്യം അർഹിക്കാവുന്നതല്ല, നശ്വരമായതിന് അനശ്വരതയെ അർഹിക്കാവുന്നതല്ല എന്ന് ഞാൻ പറയുന്നു. ഇതാ ഞാൻ ഒരു രഹസ്യം നിങ്ങളോട് പറയുന്നു. നാം എല്ലാവരും നിദ്ര പ്രാപിക്കുകയില്ല. അവസാന കാലം ഊതുമ്പോൾ കണ്ടുനിൽക്കുന്നത്ര വേഗത്തിൽ നാം എല്ലാവരും രൂപാന്തരപ്പെടും. മരിച്ചവർ അക്ഷയമായി പുനരുത്ഥാനം ചെയ്യുകയും നാം രൂപാന്തരപ്പെടുകയും ചെയ്യും. എന്തെന്നാൽ നശ്വരമായത് അനശ്വരമായതും മർത്യമായത് അമർത്യതയും ധരിക്കുവാൻ പോകുന്നു.
Whoever does not honor the Son and does not honor the Father who sent him, very truly I tell you, whoever hears my word and believes in him who sent me has eternal life and will not be judged, but has crossed over from death to life. Very truly I tell you, a time is coming and has now come when the dead will hear the voice of the Son of God, and those who hear will live. For as the Father has life in himself, so he has granted the Son also to have life in himself. And he has given him authority to judge because he is the Son of Man. Do not be amazed at this, for a time is coming when all who are in their graves will hear his voice and come out. Those who have done what is good will rise to live, and those who have done what is evil will rise to be condemned. Barakumor, peace be to you. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, one true God. Amen. Reverend Father Matthew, dear Lilama, Rina, Lina, Scaria, and their family and relations, and friends of Punyamohan from Bhopal, and my dear friends. We gather here in the presence of Almighty Father in this beautiful church to bid farewell to our dear Punyamohan, Scaria Thomas. We are once again reminded of the unpredictable nature of human life. It is very difficult to send him away at this time since we are a close-knit family. Like many of you, Kunyumohan and his family are personally close to me and my family. Kunyumohan is a simple, truthful person who enjoyed church activities, especially Christmas and Easter celebrations. Kunyumohan is a religious person, coming to church and standing in the front devotionally, singing and praising God. He was an active participant in the worship service until he fell sick. He trusted God completely, and he loved his family without reservation. He did not criticize anyone. He was peaceful and kind. During his long, enduring illness, he never lost his faith in God or in his treatment. He believed that he would be made well again and would be able to go to church as he used to. I and my family and many of us visited him numerous times during the past 6 years when he became completely bedridden. Our families were in touch with each other, which in turn helped to build confidence and faith. Kunyumohan was a loving husband, a caring father and grandfather, an uncle and a righteous person. Even when he was helpless in his physical state, we could see that he was trying to communicate and show joy and happiness. His favorite song, Akkarekku Yatra Cheyyu, Siyon Sanchari. He would sing it with difficulty. One time, he was able to say Amen at the end of our prayer. He was unable to communicate verbally. He would look at people to show his affection and concern. When we left for India, I think he knew, but stayed alive until my return. Leelama and family took good care of him with personal attention, faithfully and constantly. The support and help was given to him. Not a single moment passed without constant attention from Leelama and the children. Nothing else bothered her. Nothing else took her attention away, even for a single moment. It was a great service dedicated to God Almighty, and in this respect, Leelama is an example for everyone. In John 5:24, the Lord said, "He who hears my word and believes in him who sent me has everlasting life, and he shall not come into judgment, but has passed from death to life." A Christian never dies, but continues his life until the second coming of Christ. At any opportunity he gets, Kunyumohan used to receive Holy Communion. He has received the sacrament of unction of the sick, and thus he goes with full confidence in Jesus. Dear Leelama and children, you have done everything possible to provide comfort and treatment to Kunyumohan, sacrificing your comforts. May God reward you. The good Lord has called him home because he has finished his mission in this world. Jesus said, "Love others as I have loved you." But he did not put a time limit for our love. Love is eternal, it must continue eternally. When we love the departed, it is an extension of our love. If we love this applicant, then we must pray for him. Anyone, those are some of the messages, these are some of the messages that Quinlan is giving us today. I have completed my mission on earth. God is in control, and let his will be done. Please remember me in your prayers and include me in future life. Beware of the paradoxes and the tragedies of life. Beware of the unpredictability of life, and be prepared at all times. St. Thomas Church Youngers will truly miss this great soul. On behalf of St. Thomas Church and on my personal behalf, let me express our heartfelt condolences to the family, especially to Lilama and all the children, as well as all other family members. So long, my friend. May the Lord grant you peace and comfort in the other world. Thank you. Now there are a couple of people who wants to say a few things at this time. And this is the time for them to speak.
Good morning. At this time, Wilton's family member, Anna Matthew from Boston, will be saying a few words.
Good morning to all. Respected Episcopal. Agents, family and friends, we are gathered here today to pay tribute and to celebrate the life of Scaria Thomas, also known as Kunimon, and we call him Kunimon Jain. For anyone who does not know me, my name is Anna Matthew, also known as Kunimon. We are related to Kunimon Jain from my father's side as well as my mother's side. I knew him for all my life. This day is so hard for us. We all know that our time on this earth is borrowed. We do not have a say on when or how we are going to go away from this earth, because everything happens when we least expect it. It is so true in Kunimon Chan's case also, because he was sick for a long time, got very, very sick at times, and pulled through it all. The other day, when I called Leila Mama, she was crying so hard and told me I never thought this was the day. She and Rena was changing his position in bed by turning him side to side when he stopped breathing. Again, the least expected time. This is true for each and every one of us. In Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verses 1 to 4 we read, "There is a time for everything, a season for every activity under heavens. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build, a time to laugh and a time to mourn." Kunimon Chan calls us Boston Pillar. Until he got sick, he used to visit us very often and made sure that his presence was there for every family occasion. Most of you, or maybe all of you, know that he was sick for a while, and Neil Mama and the children cared for him with love and affection. Neil Mama, you upheld the wedding vow that in sickness and in health you are there for him, and we are so proud of you. Kunmunch and I know never resist an opportunity to have a laugh with friends and loved ones. Many times when we visited their house, he was surrounded with friends, having a good time, telling jokes and eating food, and was enjoying each other's company. He only expected the best from his three children. Duty, decency, dignity, and respect were the qualities I saw in him. His best trait was that he lived his life to the fullest until he got sick. He always had a deep desire to love, to understand, and to connect. We also know that death is not the end, for love goes on. Psalms 147 verses 3 reads that he heals the brokenhearted and bindeth the wound. My deep condolences to little Mama and the children and to their families. We will uphold you in our prayers. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, Kunmunch's children will be saying a few words. It will be concluded with Mundal Sack's words. After that, we will have the final reading for those who haven't seen the body. So let's start with Rina, mother of Kunmunch, say a few words.
Dear family and friends, Ephesians 3:6 states, "For it is by grace you have been saved, through faith and not from yourselves. It is a gift from God." Papa had been blessed to have reached 75 years. In those years, he had lived his life to the fullest and has taught us how to deal with life's difficulties, with faith and to rely on God's grace. Papa's life had 3 major turning points. The first was when he left his family and friends in country and moved to the U.S. with us. Starting over in a new place was no doubt frightening and difficult, but with prayers of his family, he embarked on this journey. By relying on his faith, Papa has managed to form a second family with close friends, church members, and prayer group members. I can still remember when Papa's faith was proven true. My brother had asthma as a child, and one night when Mom was at work, he started to have breathing trouble. Papa had called him over to his room and prayed to meaning to heal him. Then Papa put him in bed beside him, and my brother's breathing eased and he fell asleep. The next day, Muna had told us about how he saw Padma Tirveni standing beside the bed. The Tirveni touched his cross to Muna's forehead. It was at that moment that his breathing had eased and he could sleep. Grace was definitely with us as we entered into the second turning point. In January of 2001, Papa had suffered a massive heart attack that should have taken him from us. Thanks to God's grace and mercy, he was still with us. This period of time was difficult for Papa. He had always been a man on the move, so strong and confident. Now he was disabled and fearful. He had moments of sadness and despair, and at times it seemed overwhelming. God's grace came through once again when Papa became a grandfather. This was something that he had prayed for so much that my daughter Jasmine would still say that the reason she was born was because her grandparents wanted a grandchild. Papa thoroughly enjoyed being a grandfather and having his grandbabies around. They brought him out of his depression and he came back to life. One of his favorite things to do was to feed them. He would sit there for hours with them, waiting for the baby to birth. I can still remember how grandfather and grandchild would stare into each other's eyes and savor that precious moment. Elena, in particular, would love to latch on to his ear and hold it the entire time she was being fed. Life had become joyous for him once more, and he was able to fight off other strokes and heart attacks. Not everything was smooth or easy, though. During this time, one particular stroke affected his memory so much that he and Jasmine were learning their ABCs together. It is difficult to fathom how much bravery that must have taken Papa to have to relearn everything all over again. For the most part, Papa was enthusiastic and would encourage Jasmine to keep working hard on her letters. His overcoming all these heart attacks and strokes, brain surgery and other surgeries, illness after illness, proved to be absolute miracles, because there was no way that Papa would overcome all these things without God's grace and mercy. We had now become a family that not only believed in miracles, but expected them often. The third turning point happened 5 years ago when Papa had suffered a stroke. We were terrified that God may call Papa home at this time. The doctors could not tell us anything for certain. During this time, many of our second family members, church members, prayer group members, friends, co-workers, all prayed for Papa's healing. Papa was so blessed to have so many people from all over the world and from all different religions praying for him. God's grace was once again upon him, and Papa woke up from the stroke. This time, though, he was paralyzed, and this is very difficult for us as well as him. He had been through so much, and now even more was asked of him. There were many moments that we had to stand by, helpless, and watch as he suffered. It was painful and heart-wrenching, but God in his goodness brought joy to us again. Papa's last grandchild was born during this time. Although difficult as this time was, God still allowed us to share in many birthdays and holidays together. The last few days before his death, he had cried nonstop. But when he passed away, it was quick and peaceful. Everyone had remarked at how peaceful he had looked, as though he was just sleeping. His face no longer had the look of pain or suffering. Papa's life was his legacy to us, how he overcame his health issues with grace and complete trust in God. His faith was unwavering till the end. These 20 years were an absolute gift from God, and we are so thankful and grateful to God for them. Thank you.
Thank you all for joining us today to honor Papa. There's so many thoughts and memories I have of Papa, and I just wanted to share some of them today with you as we celebrate his life. Papa was everything a good father should be. He disciplined and corrected us, and he also made sure we knew how much he loved us. I received plenty of writings from Papa, but more than that, I remember all the ways Papa has shown his love for me. One of my very earliest childhood memories is of Papa and I, while we were still living in India. We had both gotten hurt on his scooter. I had broken my arm, and Papa had hurt his leg. But despite the pain he had in his own leg, Papa picked me up and carried me all the way to the hospital with that injured leg. One of Papa was a man that loved the simple joys of life, and one of his favorite simple joys was a good cup of chaya, and I was one of his favorite chaya makers. Every day after work, whenever friends came over, and even sometimes when we would go to friends' homes, Papa would ask me to make chai, and I did. It's a little thing. I'm so grateful for all those cups of chai I was able to make for him. As you heard, was someone who loved to cook and was really, really, really good at it. He made us so many delicious meals. I think feeding people was one of the ways he had of showing his love and concern. After one of Papa's strokes, he was in rehab for a while, and then he had to do outpatient rehab. I would drop him off on my way to work, and my boss and friend Elizabeth would let me take a quick break to go pick him up. During one of those times, I got stuck at work and was late in picking him up. When Papa got into the car, he said, "Coach, why were you late?" And I told him, and I thought he was frustrated that I was late, but instead he had a bag in his hand that he gave me, and in it was a cup of coffee and a bagel. He said he didn't eat before we left the house, and he wasn't concerned that because I was late, he was concerned because he was worried that the coffee had gotten cold. Even when he could no longer cook for me, he still wanted to make sure I was fed and full. Papa was the kind of person who showed up for his people. If you were sick, he would come and visit you. He did everything he could do to be present for every important event in the lives of the people that he loved. From births to weddings, wakes, and funerals, Papa would be there until he was no longer to do it. And he didn't just do it for their extended family and friends, he did it for us. Both of my babies were born in winter months when I was living 3 hours away from home. And even though Papa was sick at the time, he was there at the hospital the day when I was born, and the very next day after Joshua was born. And when I look back at Papa's life, I'm grateful for two gifts especially. The first is the faith that he passed on to us, and the confident assurance I have in Christ. Today, we're so grateful to have you all here to share in our sorrow, and you're seeing our tears and grief. But I know there will be many days when we will be weeping alone in our rooms, in the car, when we're driving somewhere, and wherever he may be, when the ache of losing Papa really hits us. But I know that sorrow and grief is never hidden from God. He sees every tear, and he will be our main source of strength, and he gives us the peace to know that because of our faith in him, we will once again see our earthly Father when we meet our Heavenly One. The second greatest gift that Papa gave me is our beautiful family, my amazing mom, and my wonderful siblings. Mommy, you have loved and cared for Papa all these years, and the way that you've done it overwhelms me. The Bible says that when two people get married, they become one flesh. And there's so much oneness and unity between you and Papa. I told you all how much Papa loves Chaya. When Papa first met Mommy, he was going through an especially hard time, and Mommy knew about it through her roommate, who was an extended family member of Papa's. So she made him a cup of Chaya, and they fell in love. Mommy, since that very first cup of Chaya till his last breath, you have been there to get him through so many hardships and sorrow. And just like Papa, she shows us how much she loves us by feeding us. Every time I'm at the house, she wants me to eat, and just like Papa, she's also a wonderful cook. Even when she's busy taking care of him, she's also making sure that we're fed. She cooks an abundance of food and tells us just to take second and third helpings. And just like Papa, she showed up for her people. Even when Papa was sick, she did her best to be there when friends were sick in the hospital, and also to attend every special occasion. And just like Papa, she did the same for us. When my brother was receiving an award in Las Vegas, Mommy was there because she wanted to make sure that family was present. When Rita and Toby's daughters received their first communion, she was there. When I celebrated my 40th birthday, she was there, making whatever arrangements were necessary for Papa to be taken care of and for us to be together to celebrate. Mommy, you are a true Proverbs 31 woman, an excellent wife who can find. She is far more precious than rubies. The heart of her husband trusts in her. She does him good and not harm. Her children rise up and call her blessed. To my brother and sister, thank God there are three of us, right? We could not have gotten through this without each other. When Mommy went to Vegas for Linda's award, I went with her. And Rena took care of Papa all by herself. Out of all three of us, she was the only one who has ever done that. She's done so much to take care of Papa, and I'm so glad she was there with Mommy as Papa took his last breath, doing what she did so well, looking after and caring for Papa so well. Muna was always at the house whatever he could be. If he was working from home, he was working at our parents' house. If he had to travel for work, he never left to the airport or anywhere to drive without stopping at the house first to see Papa and Mommy. The day before Papa passed away, when I had to travel for work, and as usual he stopped by to see Papa. And he said, after he said goodbye and left, he had a feeling to go back and once again see Papa one more time and give him one more kiss. And we couldn't do what we did without the love and support of our spouses. Joey, Rowena, and Sunday. We know that this hasn't been easy. It's meant making sacrifices. It's meant taking time away from home and family for us to be there. But I wanted to say thank you to all three of you for giving us the love and support we needed to be with our parents and to love them well, especially during these last few days. You have met needs and anticipated them, and we appreciate all that tremendously. And to our children, you've also made so many sacrifices. I can't tell you enough the absolute joy, the absolute and great joy you have brought your Abaja. He loved the seven of you so much and was so proud of you. Thank you for being such wonderful grandchildren. And in closing, I just wanted to say, early on when Papa was sick, I remember sitting at his bedside when he was in the hospital and thinking to myself, Papa only got to see Rita and Joby get married. He's not going to see Moon and I do it. He's not going to meet know who our spouses are. He's not going to meet any of his grandchildren. And today we say goodbye to a man who saw all three of his children get married and met all seven of his beautiful grandchildren. So none of us know what our lives are going to be like. We don't know if our lives here on earth will be long or short. The only thing we know is that there will be sorrow and there will be joy. And I hope, like Papa, all of us have a strong faith to stand on and the love and support of wonderful family and friends. Thank you all for making my dad's life so full and so bright and so beautiful.
Dear Hutchins, family and friends, thank you for joining us today to remember and celebrate Papa's life. There was never a doubt that Papa was very much loved, and I'm humbled to see all the people that have paid their respects these past 2 days. And more importantly, so many of you have been a presence in my life, and Papa and Mommy's life, and our whole family's lives for as long as I can remember. There are many stories I can share about my father. He taught me so much. As a child, I remember him being tough but tender. He'd be quick to yell about something or another, but he'd also be quick to be playful and affectionate. I remember when we'd come home late from prayer meeting or some other event, I'd often pretend to be sleeping in the car. Papa would never try to wake me up. He would just go into the back seat and pick me up and carry me. Kochi and Rita would be walking behind us, and they would see me smiling, wide awake, and they would say, Papa, Papa, he's faking, he's faking. But that didn't matter to Papa, and that was such a joy for me. Papa, with his Air Force background, was a pretty stoic person. It wasn't often that he appeared overtly emotional. I think that's why I have such a vivid memory of our last family trip together to India. On the day of our departure, after all the songs were sung and all the prayers were prayed, when he started saying goodbye to our family, he started sobbing loudly and hysterically. It was something I had never seen before. Seeing Papa's heart overflow with the love for his family made the tears start in my own eyes that day as well. As sad as Papa was that day, that actually wasn't the saddest I ever saw him. I think the saddest I ever saw Papa was over something I did. You see, for some reason, during my second year in college, I thought it would be a good idea to get an earring. And I also thought it was a good idea to wear that earring to the house when I came home for a short break. To say Papa was heartbroken was an understatement. He strongly disapproved, but he didn't yell at me the way that I was expecting him to. When I arrived back at Buffalo, he called me, and with such sweet, persuasive words like, "Nalamonale, Papamonale," he convinced me to take off my earring without ever raising his voice at me. I remember Papa being a hard worker and relishing in opportunities to be productive. There were times he'd come home from the factory and start cutting the grass without even going inside first. He did things like this without any complaints, and his example of being a hard-working husband and father is something I try to emulate in my own life, but as my wife will tell you, I'm still a work in progress. As you know, over the last 20 years, Papa had many health issues. A series of heart attacks and strokes had taken their toll on his body and mind. However, he made miraculous recoveries after many of these devastating events. I remember once leaving his cardiologist's office and hearing the receptionist say, "Wow, he looks so good." And his doctor was agreeing and saying, "Yeah, I don't know how he looks so good. His heart barely beats. He's had all these brain surgeries, and yet he still looks so good. It's amazing." In October 2014, Papa had his last stroke. I remember being in the hospital alone with him, sobbing, because for many days Papa had been in a coma. We all thought we would have to say goodbye to him that day. A couple days later, however, when I came to the hospital, all the nurses were telling me, "Zach, your dad is singing." I couldn't believe it. Sure enough, when I got closer to his room, I could hear his song. It wasn't in Malayalam, and it wasn't in English. It wasn't even a real song. It went something like this. Pakalala or la la la. Pakalala or la la la. I tell you, I'd never heard such a welcome sound in my life, and that has become one of my favorite songs of all time. From being comatose, Papa made progress, but he never fully recovered his ability to use his right side. He became fully dependent on others for nearly every aspect of his life. A man who had always been out and about and enjoyed spending long hours sitting on the front steps of our house, enjoying the sunlight, had become confined to a single room in his house. I was so worried about what that would mean for him and our family. I envisioned a life of going back and forth constantly to the hospital with all the complications that can occur in someone with Papa's condition, blood clots, pneumonias, skin breakdowns, and the like. But thank God, that wasn't the life he had. He had an amazing team taking care of him, led by my mom, and the rest of us playing our roles as well. After many decades of being a nurse, Mom had just retired about a year before Papa's stroke. She has been his 24/7 private nurse for the last 5 years, and she was exceptional. Mom, you haven't taken a single day off or a single sick day in these last 5 years, and you've done more overtime than any nurse in history. You have years of vacation time built up, and I want to see you take it. Be happy and cheerful and be full of life. Thank you so much for all you have done. In my eyes, you truly are Saint Sarah of Spring Valley. Mom, we all know how hard this has been, but your love and dedication to Papa was something marvelous to see, and we are all blessed to have witnessed this kind of unconditional love. And despite his inability to express himself, Papa had subtle ways of showing Mom his love and concern. I remember sometimes going to the house and hear her say, "Yeah, Papa was looking at me." It was this love and care that made Papa smile at times despite the physical hardships. In April, Papa completed his 75th year, and while his grandkids had to blow out his candles, he looked happy to me as he was enjoying his Carvel ice cream cake. My father wasn't always forthcoming with many compliments. We used to joke with him that on days when he said this or that was something good, we would have to write it down in the calendar to remember it. I'm so happy to know that Papa is in God's presence now. Papa trusted God and believed in the power of prayer, and I witnessed many of his prayers being answered. I have true peace and comfort knowing he is partaking in the things that God has prepared for those who love him. The things that no eye has seen and the beauty that we can't even imagine. I know that Papa is in heaven right now without any physical limitation, and he is smiling and saying that it is all so very, very good. Just wanted to take a couple moments to say thank you to a few very important people. Thank you to Matthew Thomas Hutchin for being here today, and especially stepping in while Hutchin was away and performing the last rites with Papa about a month ago when we thought it was time to say goodbye at that time. Thank you to the other Hutchins that were here today, Thomas here yesterday, Thomas Matthew Hutchin, Roger Verghese Hutchin, and Paul Cherian Hutchin. Thank you to the vicar of this church, Father Verghese, Daniel, for allowing us to use this beautiful church to say goodbye to Papa, and to Prasad uncle of this church for all his help and arrangements. Cherian Nilingalachan, thank you for so much that you and Kochima have done for Papa and Mommy and the whole family over all these years. And I think you're absolutely right. I don't think it was a coincidence that Papa waited for you to come back to see him home. I wanted to thank also Mr. John Isaac, Mr. Kuriakos Varghese, Mr. M.M. Abraham, Baby Varghese uncle, Chakoche uncle, and to all the members of St. Thomas Orthodox Church for all your help in making the final arrangements. To all the Kunimods and Kundiskonin uncle, we couldn't have done all we had to do in such a short period of time without your help. As Kochi said, thank you Joey, Sanjay, and Rowena for all you have done for Papa. You have all been so understanding in all circumstances and put Papa's needs above your own. Lastly, to all our family and friends who are here and those who couldn't be here, we are so blessed to have all of you in our lives. Through good times and bad times, you truly are the salt of the earth and God's hands and feet. As a reminder, after the burial service, we will be meeting back here to enjoy a lunch together and have fellowship and continuing celebrating Papa's life. Thank you so much.
This is the time to have a viewing. The church will be singing the song, so those who haven't viewed can come and view the body right now.
Illa gunam kala get on your car and get ready for the procession to the cemetery.
As the family mentioned, after the funeral, we expect everybody to be back in the church. They have arranged some snacks in the church, so please be back after the funeral.
Oh
തന്റെ ദൈവിക കൽപ്പനയാലും കർത്തൃഹിത പ്രകാരവും ഈ സഹോദരനെ താൽക്കാലിക ജീവിതത്തിന്റെ യാത്രയാക്കിയ ദൈവമായ കർത്താവേ, തിരുസന്നിധിയിൽ നിന്ന് സ്വർഗീയ സേനകളുടെ സഹായം അവനയച്ചു കൊടുക്കണമേ. ഇവന്റെ മൃതശരീരത്തിൽ വീഴ്ത്തപ്പെടുന്ന ഈ തൈലം മുഖാന്തരം ആയാൽ പതിയിരുന്ന് മനുഷ്യാത്മാവുമായി പോരാട്ടം നടത്തുന്ന പ്രതികൂല സൈന്യങ്ങളിൽ നിന്നും ശത്രുവിന്റെ പാടയത്തിൽ നിന്നും ഇവൻ രക്ഷപ്പെടുമാറാകണമേ. പ്രകാശഭവനങ്ങളിൽ വിശുദ്ധന്മാരോടുകൂടെ ആനന്ദത്തിലേക്ക് ഇവനെ ആനയിക്കുകയും ചെയ്യണമേ. ഇവൻ സന്തോഷത്തോടും ആനന്ദത്തോടും കൂടി നിനക്ക് നിന്റെ പിതാവിനും പരിശുദ്ധവായിക്കും സ്തുതിയും സ്തോത്രവും സമർപ്പിക്കുകയും ചെയ്യുമാറാകണമേ. പ്രയത്നങ്ങളിൽ നിന്നുള്ള വിശ്രമത്തിനും യുദ്ധങ്ങളിൽ നിന്നുള്ള സംരക്ഷണത്തിനും വിശുദ്ധന്മാരോട് കൂടിയുള്ള ആനന്ദത്തിനുമായ പിതാവിന്റെയും പുത്രന്റെയും പരിശുദ്ധമായ നാമത്തിൽ നിത്യജീവനു വേണ്ടി ഈ തൈലം ഒഴിക്കപ്പെടുന്നു. മണ്ണാകുന്നു, മണ്ണിലേക്ക് തന്നെ തിരികെ ചേരും, വീണ്ടും നവീകരിക്കപ്പെടുകയും എന്ന് അരുളി ചെയ്ത പ്രകാരം കർത്താവേദ തിരുവിഷ്ടം ഈ ദാസനിൽ നിറവേറിയിരിക്കുന്നു. വീരൻ തന്നധികാരം ചെയ്യ വിസ്മയമാശ്ചര്യം കൂറുന്തുതന്മാർ ചിതറിയകലകിലം നേടും തേജസാത്മാ ഉഴുതനുവും നാശം കൂടാതുയിലേക്കും സുത്യൻ മാർത്താമറിയാതൻ സോദരനാ സർവീഞ്ഞെന്നാലും കൽപ്പിച്ചോ നീജന്നപ്പോൾ കായികോ സുതജീവി ചാർമൃതരന്ത്യത്തിൽ ജീവിക്കും നിന്നാപാനത്താൽ പറയുമോ ദസങ്കേതമന്മയനാ മാതാമോടായി നിയമം തള്ളിയ മന്മയനെ ഖേദിക്കേണ്ട നീ മൃതിയും ജീവനുമേകിടും ദൈവസുതേ ജ്ഞാനന്നോ ബഹുബലമാന സ്വർഗീയം സുത്യൻ മനോലം മാതാവിനോലം ചാതുര്യത്തോടു ഭുവനത്തെ മരണമുഖത്തിൽ ബന്ധി ചുരുവിജ്ഞൻ സൃഷ്ട ഉന്നതനായി മേവു നൃപരെ പദവികളിൽ നിന്നും ഭീകരനാകും വിധികർത്ത കടഭരണത്തിൽ നിന്നും നിൽക്കുന്നു. കൃപാവനൂടുയിരിൻ രുധിരവുമേറ്റൊരു വിശ്വാസികൾ മൃതരെ കിടുമീ ധൂപ താൽപുണ്യം ജീവ പ്രദനാം മസികാദിൻ ദൈവികമാം വനഭാഗ അവതീർണുണ്ടെന്നെ സ്തുതിപ്പാടട്ടെ. അവർ എന്നോട് പറഞ്ഞപ്പോൾ ഞാൻ സന്തോഷിച്ചു. കർത്താവ് വരും,
ശരണം നൽകും സകലവർക്കും. കർത്താവിന്റെ വാഹനത്തിലേക്ക് നാം പോകുന്നു.
നിങ്ങളിൽ നിന്ന് പ്രിയരെ പിരിയുന്നു സ്വീകരണം ഞാൻ പ്രവർത്തിപ്പിൻ.
എന്റെ പ്രാർത്ഥനയിൽ ഹൃദയ കഷ്ടം സാത്താനെ കഷ്ടം നിങ്ങളുടെ ഭരണം അശിരാമായേക്കും മിന്നലോടെയോ നാഗതനായിടും മൃതരെഴുന്നേൽക്കും സ്തുതിഗീതം പാടും ശുഭമൊടുപോവിൻ വാതിലടച്ചിടുവിൻ കർത്താവ് വരും വാതിൽ തുറന്നു തരും മരണം മായും സൃഷ്ടാവിൻ ധനിയാൽ മൃതരെഴുന്നേൽക്കും സ്തുതിഗീതം പാടും ക്രോമകളാക്കും സാപ്പികൾ കുഴലൂതും പരദീസാതൻ അവകാശി വരിക. നമ്മുടെ രക്ഷയെഴുന്നള്ളിയ നാഥൻ നമ്മുടെ ജീവൻ എഴുന്നള്ളും മൂലം പ്രതിനാശകനെ പ്രാണപ്രദേവാ വന്ദനമീശോ രക്ഷാദായകനെ ആകൽസ്ഥാനം നീങ്ങിയ നിന്നവുക ആനന്ദത്തിൻ തുറമുഖമാർന്നല്ലോ. ആകൽസ്ഥാനം തരണം ചെയ്തിടുവാൻ കർത്തൃശ്ലീബ ബാലമതാകട്ടെ. കൃപ ചെയ്യണമേ നിൻ കൃപയാൽ എന്നിൽ ഞാൻ കാണണമേ നിൻ കൃപ നിൻ വരവിൽ. സഭയും സുതരും സുഖായെ സ്തുതിഗീതത്തോടൊത്തു വണങ്ങിയിടും.
ഞങ്ങളുടെ രക്ഷയ്ക്ക് വേണ്ടി വന്നവനും ഞങ്ങളുടെ പുനരുത്ഥാനത്തിനായി പരിപാലിക്കുന്നവനുമായ കർത്താവേ, നിന്റെ തിരുനാമത്തെ സ്തോത്രം ചെയ്യുവാനായി ബന്ധനത്തിൽ നിന്ന് എന്നെ മോചിപ്പിക്കണമേ.
ഞങ്ങളുടെ കർത്താവേ നിനക്ക് സ്തുതി, ഞങ്ങളുടെ കർത്താവേ നിനക്ക് സ്തുതി, ഞങ്ങളുടെ ശരണവുമേ എന്നേക്കും നിനക്ക് സ്തുതി പാലിക്കുമോ.
I have a few announcements to make. All those who are going to the cemetery, have your cars, blinkers turned on. The hearse will be the one going first. Everybody follow the hearse. So have your car's engine started with the blinker on. Soon after the hearse will be leaving this property, you follow right behind them. So it will be orderly. We are all going to be following the hearse. Thank you.
We'll pause over here just to wear the shoes.
അക്കരയുണ്ടോരു തീരം നിത്യതയാം ശാന്തതീരം അക്കരയുണ്ടോരു തീരം തീരം നിത്യതയാം ശാന്തതീരം ഒന്നവിടെ ചെന്നു ചേരാം ജീവിതമാം തോണിയേറി അക്കരെയുണ്ടോരു തീരം നിത്യതയാം ശാന്തതീരം നടുവിൽ തണ്ടു വലിച്ചു തളർന്നു ലോകമാം കടലിൻ്റെ നടുവിൽ തണ്ടു വലിച്ചു തളർന്നു സ്നേഹത്തിൻ നാഥനെത്തും വൻതിരയിൽ കാത്തുകൊള്ളും സ്നേഹത്തിൻ നാഥനെത്തും വൻതിരയിൽ കാത്തുകൊള്ളും അക്കരെയുണ്ടോരു തീരം നിത്യതയാം ശാന്തതീരം വഞ്ചി കരകാണാതൊഴുകുന്നു പായ്മരമില്ലാത്ത വഞ്ചി കരകാണാതൊഴുകുന്നു രക്ഷകനായി യേശുവെത്തും മറുകരയിൽ ചേർത്തുകൊള്ളും